You can start.
Good morning, everyone. Here we are. Yep.
Hold on a second. I don't see it on the YouTube yet.
You don't? Yep. It is like. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. This is the AUAA-USA, Annamalai University Alumni Association of USA. வணக்கம், நிறைய பேர் வந்திருக்கீங்க. இன்னைக்கு வந்து ஒரு நல்ல entrepreneurship, ஒரு journey of an excellent entrepreneur. நீங்க பார்த்திருப்பீங்க the name and title. It's called accidental. Let's find out whether it is accidental. What does that mean? So நம்ம வந்து என்ன பண்ண போறோம் இன்னைக்கு அப்படின்னா, இன்னைக்கு there are people, those who are traveling around, quite a lot of them. So it's going to be an interactive journey of the entrepreneur. So welcome, and then as usual I say, Arunmozhi will be here. He's traveling right now. So AUAA USA, it's just $100 membership for a life member. Banga. Then there is going to be already happening localized events where you can meet all your seniors, juniors, all the alumni. We are working on in other cities as well. Let's jump into the show right now. Whom we are going to talk about is Annamalai Meyyappan. He's from 1989, E&I. So அவங்க இருக்கிற அந்த ஃபீல்டு வந்து PLMல he is shortly known or fondly known as May. So let's find out. Let's welcome him. வணக்கம் மேயப்பன்.
Hello Muthu, எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
நல்லா இருக்கேன், எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
Very nice, thank you.
With this I get to see a lot of people from the college days, right? After so many years.
Yeah.
Some of us see and then say, oh, நீதான் அது அப்படின்னு பேசிக்கிறோம்.
Actually நீங்க அந்த ரயில்வே ஸ்டேஷன் பேக்ரவுண்ட் போடணும்.
போட்டுருவோம்.
ஆமா.
Maybe it's a good idea. ஒரு நாள் ரயில்வே ஸ்டேஷன், ஒரு நாள் there are so many places in the பாசுபதீஸ்வரர் கோயில் இருக்கு, engineering, buildings, medical building, admini. Well, there's interesting places too. போடலாம் கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா.
கிளாஸ் ரூம் தவிர மத்தெல்லாம் போடுங்க.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Excellent. Welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
Just to ask you a few questions of how did you end up in Annamalai University? Is there anything interesting story?
Yes, it is interesting because I was born and brought up in Ooty. My dad was working over there. So the first 12 years of education was all on the hill station. And then the first time I moved down was for the university education. And I started in CIT. I was there for about 3 months. And somebody called me and said that instrumentation is one of the best fields to move forward. And only Annamalai University is providing that at the stage, excluding, I think, MIT in Chennai. And we were never qualified for MIT, not like Arun. So then we had some discussions, and then after Annamalai University, I came and joined after 3 or 4 months after the classes started. It was an interesting journey there because many of them asked me, why did you leave CIT and move to Annamalai University? And I had this only one answer, that was the only university which gave an instrumentation degree, electronics and instrumentation. That's the combination. So we said, fine. But then I understood that it's a nice place for, that's the only, cohort where you'll have girls studying. So it's a good opportunity to be there too. That's where it all started. Yeah.
Oh, interesting to hear that. I did not know either. So that you came after 3 or 4 months leaving CIT for for some other reason, and you found to be much more colorful here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. So how was your first year or second year? How did the journey go?
Yeah. First year is yeah, பழம் அவ்வளவுதான், வேற ஒன்றும் இல்லை. முல்லை ஹாஸ்டல், ஒரு பழைய சைக்கிள் ஒன்று வாங்கிட்டு அங்க வந்து காலேஜுக்கு டெய்லி போயிட்டு வந்துட்டு அதோட சரி, வேற யாருக்கையும் மாட்டக்கூடாது, எஸ்பெஷலி சீனியர்ஸ் மாட்டக்கூடாதுன்னு. ஆனா that was a wrong notion. அந்த சீனியர்ஸ் மாட்டக்கூடாதுன்னு தப்பிச்சு வர்றது was a wrong notion, because அந்த சீனியர்ஸ் கிட்ட பழகினதுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் we got to know how easy is it to move with them, and they actually helped me with all my next year's educational books and other things, which to be very frank, I never spent even a rupee on buying books for the next 4 years. வருஷம் முடிக்க அவங்க நோட்ஸ் கொடுத்துட்டே இருப்பானுங்க, பழைய புக் வரும், அதனால அதை அப்படியே மாத்திட்டு அடுத்த வருஷம் நான் கொடுத்துட்டு இப்படிதான் போனேன் தவிர, லிட்ரலி அதர் than the exam fees, I really didn't spend anything. First year was kind of very calm. I think I had two best friends like Shiva and Nalappan, and பழம் தான், அதனால வேற ஒன்றும் பண்ணவும் இல்லை, ஒன்றும் இல்லை. செகண்ட் இயர்ல இருந்து வந்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் நல்ல பழக்கெல்லாம் கத்துக்கிட்டோம் இந்த பக்கம் வந்து. So third year வந்து I was spending time on a bit on the sound help பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தோம், நம்ம மெஸ்ல எல்லாம் செக்ரட்டரி அந்த ஜேர்னி எல்லாம். But one of the key things on the 4 years of Annamalai University is more than education, it kind of rounded me up. When I came from schooling, I didn't have any exposure to outside world. That was one of the key things. Even though we were spending time in Lena and Vadinathan every Friday, அந்த AA பரோட்டா கடைக்கு போய் சாப்பிடாட்டி தூக்கம் வராது, டீ கடையில உட்காந்து டீ குடிக்காட்டி ராத்திரி 1 மணிக்கெல்லாம் வர முடியாது, அந்த மாதிரி இருந்தாலும், பட் that really rounded up that okay, just education is not that. அது நீங்க வந்து in a way compare பண்ணி பாத்தீங்கன்னா, இந்த US யூனிவர்சிட்டிஸ்லயும் they round you up through sportsmanship, அது இது அந்த மாதிரி இந்த லீடர்ஷிப் கோர்சஸ் இதெல்லாம் வந்து அவங்க வந்து ஒரு கரிக்குலம் மாதிரி கொண்டு வராங்க. whereas in Annamalai University it's invisibly inbuilt. So
it just happens.
Yeah, it just happens, and that is very, very helpful once we leave the university and when we meet the external world. So that I really thank Annamalai University for that all these years. ஆனா ஏன்னா தேர்ட் இயரும் ஃபோர்த் இயரும் என்னுடைய ரூம் பாத்தீங்கன்னா அது வந்து கிட்டத்தட்ட ஒரு டீ கடைன்னு தான் சொல்லுவாங்க. ஏன்னா ரூம்மேட்ஸ் 2 பேர் சொக்கையா அண்ட் சுந்தர் அண்ட் கண்ணன், they used to have chatting, meeting, all these things up to 2 or 3, and then I used to wake up at 4:35 the last 10 days of the exams, and then so it was fun. All the time there were some songs going on, and it was very interesting. So I would, given an opportunity, we will still want to go back to that university life for some time.
Right. I mean, you touched upon a couple of points. Now I thought first 3-4 months like you must have missed much of the ragging அப்படின்னு நினைச்சேன்.
Yeah.
But it continues throughout the year, but hopefully you got very good people ragging you, so that notes எல்லாம் வந்திருக்கு, நல்லா படிக்க முடிஞ்சிருக்கு.
That's right. Yeah.
Interesting. You said I was a பழம். ஏன்னா நம்ம ஊர்ல எல்லாம் அது ஒரு ஸ்டாம்ப் பண்ணி வச்சுப்போம், இவங்க பழம் இவங்க சரியில்லை அப்படின்னு. பட் that அப்ப நினைச்சு பார்க்க மாட்டோம், ரைட்? பழமா இருக்குமா இல்ல படிக்காம இருக்குமா. Everybody are many people have become entrepreneurs, and then their lifestyle changes. But one thing we all realize, நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி, we all get rounded up very well, and when you come out, அப்ப இருந்த காலேஜஸ் 30 காலேஜஸ் தான் இருந்தது நமக்கு, we can see the difference, how we were brought up, what kind of exposure we had. Very nice, very nice. ஸோ நீங்க வந்து இப்போ செகண்ட் இயருக்கு அப்புறம் கொஞ்சம் நல்ல பழக்கம்லாம் வந்துட்டு அப்படி நீங்க நம்ம யூஸ்வலா ஒரு தியேட்டர் எல்லாம் இருக்கும் நம்ம ஊர்ல, அது நீங்க அப்போ ஏதாவது போயிருக்கீங்களா அந்த மாதிரி மூவிக்கெல்லாம்? அப்பப்ப
எல்லாம் எவ்ரி ஃப்ரைடே லேனா ஒரு வணங்குனார் வந்து எங்களுக்கு டிஃபால்ட் டிக்கெட் ஒரு 15-20 பேருக்கு. அதனால அது என்ன படம் இருக்குன்னு கூட தெரியாம போய் உட்கார்ந்துருக்கிறோம் நிறைய படம்.
அப்பவே வந்து ஒரு ஆண்டர்பிரனரா லீஸ் எடுத்துட்டீங்க.
அவ்வளவுதான், பாதி நேரம் படத்துலதான் உட்கார்ந்துருந்தோம். பட் ஆனா அந்த லாஸ்ட் 10 daysல எப்படி அதை கேட்ச் அப் பண்ணி, எப்படி கவர் அப் பண்ணி, எப்படி படிச்சுக்கலாம் அப்படிங்கறது வந்து அந்த கான்பிடன்ஸ் பில்ட் பண்ணுது அந்த யூனிவர்சிட்டி லைஃப். ஸோ ஆல்வேஸ் அதுலேயே இல்லாம மற்ற ஆக்டிவிட்டிஸும் இருக்கணும். ஏன்னா அப்பதான் நம்ம லாஸ்ட் இயர்ல லிஃபானிக்ஸ் எல்லாம் நடந்துச்சு, அதுக்கப்புறம் இந்த அண்ணாமலை யூனிவர்சிட்டி போட்டோகிராஃபி அசோசியேஷன்ஸ் அதெல்லாம் இருந்தது. So நிறைய other opportunities நம்மளுக்கு இருந்தது which we never actually valued them தான் நான் சொல்லணும். இங்க வந்து அதுக்கு அவ்வளவு வேல்யூ கொடுக்குறாங்க யூஎஸ்ல, whereas we generally didn't value that. We thought it comes as part of the game, so we really didn't value that, which actually entrepreneur மாறினப்ப and the confidence வந்து it helped me a lot because we have gone through that 4 years of run through. Even though we can't relate today, I'm able to relate, but on that day I was not able to, but that helped me a lot.
Very true. நமக்கு வந்து இந்த சின்ன சின்ன கிளப்ஸ் எல்லாம் இருக்கும், ரோட்டரி கிளப்ஸ், and then the photography association. I used to go there. நான் சொல்லுவேன் 25 rupeesக்கு you can learn photography. People used to say, you know what, I don't have camera, I don't want to learn. நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி தான். அப்புறம் by the time when they get more money, they buy the camera, they don't know how to shoot it. அப்போ $2,500 கொடுத்து படிக்கிறோம். So yeah, lot of things, and the confidence definitely it built a lot. நான் இன்னமும் அதான் எங்க போனாலும் நம்ம Annamalai ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்க்கு தான் சொல்றேன், the confidence that the university gave is what takes you through your life அப்படின்னு. ரொம்ப நிறைய விஷயங்கள் அருமையா சொன்னீங்க.
Exactly.
So let's see. I mean, being said what you were, transition from first year to final year, I'm sure you are one of the top creams of the class.
Top creams சொல்ல முடியாது, top 25% ன்னு சொல்லலாம். பட் என்னோட பெரிய ஆளுங்க எல்லாம் இருந்தாங்க, so within the top 10 to 25%. But lucky enough that last year வந்து the university was keen on what to say, on
the campus
interviews. Placement, they were spending a lot of time. So I got opportunities in two companies. One was in Viscose in Meyyappan, and the other one was Brown Bowry from Baroda. So that is the first time in the life where I felt that Viscose paid first class train tickets to go to Meyyappan to attend the interview. And that was very nice. They paid the fare up and down, and then Baroda they came down here for that interview. I got through both. I wanted to get into Baroda primarily because Meyyappan was nearby Ooty. My parents were there, so I might have to go very often. I need a break. This 4 years learned me that I'll have to explore the world. So let's take a risk, and then move to Brown Bowry. Now it is ABB. Baroda join panno, and then together with me was Govindarajan from electrical. He also got through placement. We both went to Baroda, and it was furnace department in which they used us for instrumentation related work. It was about 3-4 months anga spend panna.
Okay, so talking about this, the placement, I remember அப்பதான் வந்து நமக்கு placement officer ன்னு ஒருத்தர் பண்ணி, they were exploring நிறைய பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு நிறைய companies வந்துட்டு இருந்தாங்க. We all used to get placed, but இப்பவும் இருக்கு. That what I heard is lot of students want to get placed, but as soon as they get placed, they say சம்பளம் பத்தல, என்ன 8 hours சொல்றோமா, அவங்க பாட்டு 10 hours ஒர்க் பண்ண வைக்கிறாங்க அப்படிலாம் வந்து people are saying, okay, I don't want to go. இந்த மாதிரி எல்லாம் இருக்கு போல இருக்கு. But we will touch upon when you go through your journey, how it was. But yeah, please proceed. நீங்க அப்ப வந்து ABB now, but back then
ABB, yes. We at that time it was Brown Bowry. 4 months into the company, and it was interesting, but my ஒரே பையன் family, my mother was always insisting that I should be in the south. So then I was looking for, she made me look for opportunities. On this pick, they had this engineering graduate training, which I feel is a very good opportunity because it's an extension of college, and they take about 20 candidates every year. They placed us in Thoothukudi for the first 6 months, and then it was purely a classroom training whereby what we call as internship now. They paid for that internship after the college, which was 18 months. They call it as graduate engineering training, and then they went through classes, sports, into the company, into the manufacturing units, and then slowly graduated us from there. And then they even used to have tests. Monthly test, quarterly test, and then based on the 6, they had all those things. The 6 months performance, then they decided that, okay, we will now split this group into 10 and 10. 10 can choose to be in Thoothukudi to go into that manufacturing sector. Whereas the second group the other 10 can go to Chennai to join their maintenance organization. At that time, it was called SPIC SMO, which is now TechNet. So I took that opportunity and thought Chennai is a better place because I've been in Ooty for too long. Then again, Thoothukudi is again a smaller town. So let's go into a city life and slowly move to Chennai. And in Chennai, that was the first time I had an opportunity to talk with some of the seniors in the company. And one guy, based on the test results, he took 3 guys from out of this 10 and said that, can you guys come to CAD-CAM division? CAD-CAM na என்னன்னே தெரியாது அது வரைக்கும் நம்மளுக்கு ஓரளவுக்கு தெரியும் 3D மாடலிங் அதெல்லாம் கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கோம் பார்த்துருக்கோம் கம்ப்யூட்டர்ல நம்ம வந்து யூனிவர்சிட்டியில கம்ப்யூட்டரை தொட்டதே கிடையாது தீசிஸ் எழுதுறதுக்கு மட்டும்தான் ராத்திரி 2 மணிக்கு அப்பாயின்மெண்ட் வாங்கி போய் டைப் பண்ணியிருக்கிறோம் அவ்வளவுதான் பண்ணியிருக்கிறோம் அந்த ஃபோர்ட்ரான் பாஸ்கல்லாம் மனப்பாடம் பண்ணி கோடு படிச்சு எழுதின கோடு தான் அதனால அது ஒரு இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங் இருந்துச்சு ஓகே கம்ப்யூட்டர்ஸா 1991 கம்ப்யூட்டர்ஸ்னா இட் வாஸ் பிகினிங் ஸ்டேஜஸ் அப்பதான் சொன்னாங்க CAD-CAM வர்றீங்களா அப்படின்னு கேட்டாரு டுக் ரிஸ்க் பிகாஸ் நோ பிளானிங் நோ ஐடியா சரி போயிட்டா தென் தே ஹெல்ப் அஸ் டு லேர்ன் AutoCAD 2.62 which is one of the older versions சி புக்கை கொடுத்துட்டு இந்த புக்கை நீங்க 1 மாசத்துக்குள்ள படிச்சுட்டு வந்து நீங்க வந்து ப்ரோக்ராம் எழுத ஆரம்பிக்கணும் அப்படின்னாரு சரி நம்ம அண்ணாமலை இன்ஸ்டியூட்ல 10 நாள்ல படிச்சிருக்கோம் இது என்ன 30 நாள் கொடுக்குறாரு அதனால கஷ்டப்பட வேண்டாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு பட் இதெல்லாம் தான் சொல்றேன் அந்த பேக்ரவுண்ட் அந்த 4 years of kind of what to say molding you to the outside world
right and back then CAD-CAM அப்படினாலே மெக்கானிக்கல் இன்ஜினியர்ஸ் அப்படிதான் most of the time right
ஆமா மெக்கானிக்கல் அப்புறம் அவர் வந்து ஒரு எலக்ட்ரிக்கல் ஒரு இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்டேஷன் அந்த மாதிரி 3 எடுத்தார் அவர் ஒரு மெக்கானிக்கல் பையன் எடுத்திருந்தார் அதனால நாங்க 3 பேரும் அப்புறம் வந்து கோட் எழுத ஆரம்பிச்சோம் ஆக்சுவலா ஃபர்ஸ்டே வந்து சி அண்ட் லிஸ்ப்ல தான் கோட் எழுதணும் எல்லாமே நம்மளே கத்துக்கிட்டது தான் கோர்ஸ் கிளாஸஸ் இதெல்லாம் ஒன்றும் கிடையாது ஸோ that helped us to also feel like if you're thrown into a job then you need to know how to do or how to learn or how to adhere to that requirements fully so first அங்க ஒரு 3-4 years இந்த கோடிங்லயே எக்ஸ்டென்சிவா பண்ணோம் ஆக்சுவலா இப்ப சொல்றாங்க இப்போ வந்து ஆட்டோமேஷன் இதெல்லாம் சொல்றாங்க பட் ஆனா நாங்க அப்பவே வந்து கோடுக்கு கோட் எழுதுவோம் ஸோ வந்து ஒரு C++ ஒரு சி கோட் எழுதி வச்சிருந்தோம்னா அதுக்கு நீங்க பேராமீட்டர்ஸ் கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா இட் வில் ஜெனரேட் another code then you can
remember those days நான் வந்து கோட் ஜெனரேட்டர்னு ஒரு ப்ரோக்ராம் கோட் எழுதுவோம் right
exactly so இதெல்லாம் வந்து helped us to learn computers more extensively அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து SMOங்கிறதுனால பிளான் டிசைனுக்கு வந்து நம்ம இவாலுவேட் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு 4-5 கம்பெனி இவாலுவேட் பண்ணோம் அந்த வரைக்கும் ஒரு 4-5 years was very interesting இந்த ஜேர்னில தான் அப்புறம் மேரேஜ் ஆச்சு அதனால அது ஒரு ஸ்டோரி இருக்குல்ல மேரேஜ்க்கு வந்து எங்க மாமனார் வீட்டுக்கு வந்து சாரி ஆஃபீஸ்க்கே வந்தாங்க அப்ப ஆஃபீஸ்க்கே வந்து பார்த்துட்டு அவர் ஹிஸ் ஒன்லி கண்டிஷன் வாஸ் ஐ ஷுட் நாட் கோ அப்ராட் he wanted me to be in India அவங்களுக்கு ஒரே பொண்ணு 2 பசங்க ஒரு பொண்ணு பட் ஆனா ஒரு பொண்ணோட ரொம்ப க்ளோஸ் அதனால he said I don't want you guys to leave out of India whatever you do in India is fine அப்படின்னாங்க நானும் சரி ஏன்னா I really didn't have thoughts about ஏன்னா நிறைய பேர் அப்போ வந்து கிளாஸ்மேட்ஸ் வந்து யூஎஸ்க்கு படிக்க வந்துட்டாங்க மாஸ்டர்ஸ் படிக்க வந்துட்டாங்க I decided to stick over there அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் அப்போ கல்யாணம் நிச்சயம் ஆனதுக்கு அப்புறம் தென் நிச்சயம் ஆகி 1 வாரத்துல கம்பெனில கூப்பிட்டு சொன்னாங்க குவைத் போறீங்களா அப்படின்னாங்க அப்பதான் ஈராக் வார் முடிஞ்சிருந்தது and then they called me and said we'll have to set up a CAD center in Kuwait which SPIC SMO has got a job and they wanted me to go ahead and install it from scratch so then I was contemplating what to do and அப்புறம் நான் போயிட்டு I spoke with my father எங்க அப்பா சொல்றாரு இதெல்லாம் நீ ஒத்துக்க முடியாது நீ வந்து ஏற்கனவே அங்க ஒத்துக்கிட்ட அதனால இங்கே ஒத்துக்க முடியாது அப்படின்னாரு அப்புறம் I spoke with my father-in-law அப்புறம் அவங்க சொன்னாங்க தம்பி என்ன எப்படி சொல்றீங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அப்புறம் கல்யாணம் பண்ணிட்டு போங்க அப்படின்னாங்க சரின்ட்டு then we preponed my marriage by about 2 months which we already announced to the entire world Then we preponed it by 2 months, and then I married, and then I left my wife in her house for just 4 days after marriage, and I flew to Kuwait. But that changed the life again. I was like ready for any challenges at any point of time.
Correct.
So அது ஒரு opportunity அங்க வந்தது. குவைத்துக்கு போயிட்டு ஒரு
இதுல என்ன பார்த்தேன்னா ரெண்டு விஷயம். ஒன்னு, the challenge that you're going to take. You're moving from Ooty to Chidambaram to Thoothukudi to Chennai, and then Baroda. Now you have, okay, how about Kuwait? அப்படிங்கும்போது இதுல ஒண்ணு என்ன பார்த்தேன்னா negotiation skills, right? You just signed saying I will not leave India.
Yeah.
Then 1 week later you're going and approaching saying, okay, I got to leave India now.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but he was magnanimous. And then he said, yeah, when opportunity knocks, you have to take care of that. The liberalization started in India, right? 91, 92, Narasimha it started to change. So country started to open up, and then we felt we need to take that opportunity and move to Kuwait for about 5 months. I did that entire setup there. Again, it's helping us to understand. Ange entrepreneurship even though we were working for a company, we had to do everything: sourcing for computers, sourcing for space, communicating with people whom we don't know the language. Kuwait is Arabic language. Even though we had some Indians, but we had to go through all this stuff. So, and time frame again, project
Right.
deadlines within 3 months to 4 months is what we'll have to set up, train, and then come out. So that was about 5 months. Gave me a good exposure on how to work in an overseas. The first learning was crossing the road. It was the other side of the road. I stepped onto the road and somebody pulled me back and said, guys, this is not India anymore. And anyway, you're on the opposite side of the road. That was another learning. So adukapram 5 months was very interesting. And then I came back to Chennai, started with SPIC for the next year, then evaluated plant design software for SPIC SMO. That's when we had 3 or 4 companies like Intergraph, Bentley, and then computer vision type of companies came, and we actually interviewed them for the software capabilities. Adukapram we chose Intergraph for SPIC. On the time adukapram life was actually okay. We are settled. We are going to go abdin poitunadu.
Was it Intergraph?
Intergraph,
right?
Graph, yeah. They were primarily for oil and gas industries, and the companies were maturing from Autodesk 2D lende 3D க்கு மூவ் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தாங்க பிளான் டிசைன் சாஃப்ட்வேர்க்காக. இப்போ நிறைய வந்துருச்சு, அவிவா, ஹனிவெல் இவங்க எல்லாம் வந்துட்டாங்க. But at that time, Intergraph was very famous, and right. It was very expensive. அந்த சமயத்துல I think license was about 3.5 or 4 lakh rupees in 93, 94. And we had to spend quite a bit of time evaluating that. So it also helped us to see how do you evaluate, how do you run an RFP. So on the qualification, so we got to learn at that time, even before we started the entrepreneurship journey.
Excellent. So what was after, for example, வந்தீங்க திருப்பியும் சென்னையில இருந்தீங்க.
அப்புறம் Intergraph டிசைட் பண்ணோம். அப்புறம் தான் கம்ப்யூட்டர் விஷன் உடைய boss வந்து அவர் சிங்கப்பூர்ல இருந்தார் அந்த டைம், and he called one fine day and said, are you interested to come to Singapore to join computer vision அப்படின்னாரு. I said no, we just evaluated, we have signed up with Intergraph அப்படின்னா. Yeah, that's fine, but based on what you guys asked us questions and how you interacted, we feel that you can fit an R&D role. Computer vision we have an R&D role in Singapore, and then he said all 3 of you can come அப்படின்னாரு. எங்க பேட்ச்ல இருந்து ஜாயின் பண்ண 3 பேரையும் அவர் எடுத்துக்கிறேன் அப்படின்னாரு. That was an interesting change, and then we discussed at that time again. Okay, we said okay, we will take one by one. We don't want to screw up
just like
5 years, right? And then ஒருத்தர் போனாரு. Then after 3 months, second person went. And I was the last. I said I'll take the last dip into it. And then the worst part again, the experiences, the troubles going through part of the game. அதான் சொல்லிட்டு வரேன்னா, சிங்கப்பூருக்கு அவர் என்ன சொன்னார்னா, you apply for a temporary visa, which is a visit visa, and then come down.
Yeah.
When we applied for a temporary visa, my visa alone was rejected. And then they said you need to pay 60,000 rupees as deposit to go to Singapore if you want to get that visa. And my salary was 1,500 rupees in SPIC.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was impossible. Parents are not well off to support that. But I really wanted to go down and figure out what it is. இல்ல எனக்கு 3 மாசத்துல திருப்பி வந்துரும், வந்தா இந்த டெபாசிட் பணத்தை திருப்பி கொடுத்துருவாங்க அப்படின்ட்டு. Then I took a loan with கந்து வெட்டிக்காரன் தான் சொல்லணும். Who will give from the bank? So took 60,000, deposited, got my visa, went there. But Singapore was very nice at that time. So after I landed, they transferred me from the temporary visa to the work permit within a couple of days.
Right.
And
Those
then,
days, and the challenge நமக்கு எப்பொழுதும் உண்டு. Singapore was easy to go in a temporary visa, and then they used to give.
Convert it into a work permit. And
but
then,
taking that big challenge of paying 60,000, first time I'm hearing, but it's not an easy one.
Yeah, actually, it was stamped in your passport. It will tell you that you have taken, you have paid a deposit, and bank statement is here. As a passport list stamp பண்ணுவாங்க. Stamp பண்ணி கொடுத்து, and then if you don't come back within 3 months, you automatically lose this money. Then I had to come back within 3 months, and then figured out that okay, then I got the deposits back, went to Singapore. Singapore was as an extension of Chennai. So that was very nice. Almost about 5 years or 6 years, I had a good R&D experience with computer vision. Another interesting journey on M&A ange vandiruchu. Hyundai Heavy Industries and Korean company, shipbuilding company, we developed a software through computer vision. PTC was a competitor, another major software vendor. PTC lost the game, and then PTC bought over computer vision overnight.
Wow.
Acquisition, 98. They did this acquisition, and then next day they called and said, now we are going to develop this entire shipbuilding story in ProEngineer, which is PTC's version. And we knew that it will fail, but because it's a different architecture technology, but they promised Hyundai Heavy Industries that they will do it. So we spent about 3 years rewriting that entire piece into ProEngineer. 2001 came. That was when, by that time, we felt that it was very difficult for us to convert this into ProEngineer because it's a completely different requirement. Because shipbuilding industry, or ship, it's almost minimum a GB of data, and pulling out 3D GB of data into memory and working was impossible. So ProEngineer was always failing. So we couldn't honor the contract, and so PTC had to break the contract, pay penalties, and they were in a bit of a trouble at that time. So that was how the first 6-7 years of life was in Singapore, helping us to understand how do we go about on an R&D group. It was interesting because we were the king in R&D. We never listened to the product group. We used to define that this is how you need to do, and I'll say 10 months, and he'll say, no, we wanted it in 2 months. No, we cannot give you. So I'm we are on the best side of the world. R&D, right. Even today, I'll say R&D kind of decides, even though the product managers what they want, but the R&D decides what they will deliver.
Right. Excellent. So, apove on the challenges were there, right? I mean, today, if you talk about companies acquiring other companies, you may lose the job, but they are acquiring for a reason where you are working in a product. I want you to shut down all that and work on my product.
Yeah. Next day. Yeah.
Excellent. So please continue.
Yeah. From there, what we did is and then 2000, Y2K hit, and PTC went through its first drop in revenue after 18 to 20 quarters, and they were looking for how do we report to the market, and then they started to do retrenchment. That's the first time I heard about the word called retrenchment, because we were all used to our parents where they had permanent
one job in their life.
One job in their life, permanent placements. We never worried about it. But then 2000, that's when it struck straight on me and said that, okay, you have 2 months notice period. Then we'll give you a severance package of 2 months because you have worked for 6 years with us. But they gave an opportunity to say whether you want to go to India, where we have a big R&D center, or go to US, where we are also having an R&D center. But the lifestyle of Singapore was very comfortable. So we felt that Yeah, on a family basis, the kids could learn local languages near to India, travel, all these things were beneficial. Actually, it's an extension of Chennai. That's how I look at it.
Correct.
And then I decided that let's give it a try. Completely in the dark, nothing. I didn't know what to do, but my wife was very supportive. She came back and said, we'll take 12 months. I can support single-handedly. She was working at that time. She said, we'll do 12 months. If something comes across, let's try. We have nothing to lose. We are just 30, 33 in age, and we have a lot of time to spend, and then we can check out at least. இப்ப செய்யலனா எப்ப செய்யறது அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி தான் ஒரு கேள்வி
Very
இருந்தது.
nice.
So பிளானிங்லாம் எதுவும் கிடையாது. We said, okay, we'll job. No, 2 months notice period. The first thing which I did is, okay, the first step I was looking for opportunities and went ahead and first registered a company in Singapore. Then I thought, okay, நமக்கு தெரிஞ்சதெல்லாம் 3D, CAD, CAM, PL, product life cycle management. அதனால அதை ட்ரை பண்ணுவோம் சிங்கப்பூர்லனா. It was completely financial and what to say, stock broking, அந்த மாதிரி commercial software in the location. அதனால we never had any opportunity for this type of engineering software. One or two, but very hand limited. You cannot run a business based on that. அதனால then I went to two of my colleagues who were working with me and said, can you guys come and join? So this says something about teaming, right? Even though you have
Correct.
some thought process, some ideas, but you should have a good team to help you out, at least to converse in the first few years to figure out what's right, what's wrong. You can, so they may have pluses, you may have pluses, so you can join them together. Two of my colleagues accepted to join with me, and both are good friends of mine. And we said that, okay, guys, the first part is we are not taking loan, or we are not taking any debt. And we will not also look at our family to support over here. Let's try something which we know, and knowledge base is our capital. That's where we should start with. Ideal level. Then we started the company called Sconce. And then I founded it in 2001, October. Then we went, what to do for the first job. Then this also tells us that you should be ready to be on the other side. We have been on R&D, which was all saying that it was all green. Whatever we want, we decided. But right now you're on the other side looking for potentials, and you should fall back. You become a janitor now. So
That's true.
The first job which we got was a Muslim subscription. Our English magazines யூரோப்ல இருந்து இம்போர்ட் பண்ணி சிங்கப்பூர்ல இருக்க அந்த ஒரு ஏரியாவுக்கு டெலிவர் பண்ணுவார். அவர் ஒரு ஃபாக்ஸ் ப்ரோல ஒரு பழைய சாஃப்ட்வேர் வச்சிருந்தாரு. அவர் எனக்கு சப்ஸ்கிரிப்ஷனை மாத்தி கொடுக்க முடியுமா அப்படின்னு கேட்டார். அந்த காலத்திலே 2004 2001 or 2ல. அப்புறம் அவருக்கு ஃபாக்ஸ் ப்ரோல இருந்து அதை விபி நெட்டுக்கு மாத்தி கொடுத்தோம். The first salary was $3,000 for about 4 months of work. Which was less than a month's salary for 3 of us. Yeah, right. Less than a month's salary for all of us included. But ready to do anything. The first point is you should be ready to step down and be ready to do whatever you like at that stage, or the passion. We have to succeed in our passion, and slowly you will start to get into it. The second opportunity was very good, actually. Our network company, network couriers in Singapore, they used to do about 3,000 to 4,000 packets delivery a day, packages, and then they wanted to grow to about 10,000 to 15,000. So that gave us an opportunity to do a software development from end to end. GPS interaction, our motorbike GPS வச்சிருப்பார் ஒரு யூனிட். அதை ட்ராக் பண்ணி இந்த ரைடர் எங்க இருக்கிறான், இவனுக்கு இந்த பேக்கேஜ் எப்படி நீங்க கொடுக்கணும், எங்க கலெக்ட் பண்ணணும், இது மாதிரி நான் ஒரு 50 ரைடர் வச்சிருக்கேன், இதெல்லாம் எனக்கு ஆட்டோமேட் பண்ணி கம்ப்ளீட்டா கொடுங்கன்னு சொல்லி அவர் ஆஃப்டர் தட் வி கேம் டு நோ ஒரு கோட் கேட்டிருந்தாரு மார்க்கெட்ல. HCL and Wipro, I think one of the companies gave about $1.5 million of quote to do the software from end to end. ஆனா எங்கள்கிட்ட அவர் எதுவும் சொல்ல, நீங்க கேக்குறீங்க, நீங்க எதுவுமே உங்களுக்கு பேக்ரவுண்ட் கிடையாது, ஆனா உங்களுக்கு நம்பி நான் கொடுக்குறேன், நீங்க ட்ரை பண்ணுங்க அப்படின்னாரு. சரி, இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா கொடுத்தாரு. ஸோ தட்ஸ் அந்த ஓப்பனிங் கிடைச்சதுக்கு அப்புறம் we spent almost 3 years ஒரு 4-member team டெவலப் பண்ணி 3 years டெவலப் பண்ணோம். And finally we got about 350 to 400K on that. But then we figured out that it's a $1.5 million worth of project which we have done for 300K even during those days. But he's very successful. He helped us to gain that confidence level. He was very knowledgeable. படிக்காதவர், ரொம்ப படிக்காதவர், but he had a lot of ஐடியாஸ், கிரியேட்டிவிட்டி இதெல்லாம் வந்து சொல்லுவாரு. ராத்திரி 2 மணிக்கு கூப்பிடுவாரு. கூப்பிட்டு 1 மணி நேரம் மீட்டிங் போடுவாரு. ஸோ அதெல்லாம் நீங்க ரெடியா இருக்கணும். ஸோ யூ கெட்
Correct,
யூஸ்
correct.
டு. Family support is very, very critical. On the beginning, first few years, absolutely they need to support you. அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் நாங்க then we thought Singapore is not the place where we can grow. We can do one or two of these type of projects, but if our strength is CAD CAM, PLM. So what do we do? Asia Pacல வந்து அப்போ 3 country தான். It was Korea, Japan and Taiwan. But then it also talks about that you should never burn bridges with your OEM companies or where you work. So we had a good relationship. And now we went back to the parent company and said, can you give us some openings? They said, okay, we have some potentials in Japan, but you have to make arrangements for your interpreter and other things, but there's good potential. And it was very interesting. The first job was with Toyota in Japan.
Oh, okay.
So they called us. I went there. I spent almost the next 2 years in Japan, just coming back, commuting back to Singapore over the weekends in a monthly once to visit family. But then I spent to develop the business over there for the next 2 years, which includes consulting and also includes sales at that point of time. And so we grew from about 5 guys to about 25 guys. At some point of time, we had about 15 to 18 people just working on Toyota at Toyota Shi in Japan, which was one of the, which is their home city, and was very interesting to learn because how they work, how do the Japanese work, what do they call as the TQM, total quality, how does that, அப்பவே வந்து அவங்க வந்து இந்த digital and the industry 4.0 they already started to plan. So they were all on 2D. Yeah, they were all on 2D. They asked us to see how can we convert it into 3D மட்டும் சொல்லாம ஒரு 3Dல ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் ஆப்ஷன்ஸ் வேரியன்ஸ்லாம் நம்ம எப்படி இப்போ மேனுஃபேக்சரிங்ல ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா சாஃப்ட்வேர் மூலமா மாற்ற முடியும். அதெல்லாம் they were really thinking way ahead. They were slow on implementing it, but they were very ahead thinkers. And then and then we did a good work over there. Adnala they gave us opportunities by opening up other sectors to the parent company in Japan. So we did work for Sony, Toyota, Mitsubishi Heavy Electric, Epson, Max, quite a lot of companies. Japan level almost about 5 years.
So effectively, you have become an entrepreneur in terms that you are working on few things, and at the same time, you are marketing your company as well to multiple companies in Japan.
Yes, exactly. First 5 years, we didn't have a sales capacity at all. It was all word of mouth and potential opportunities because ஒரு problem என்னன்னா our born and brought up the culture is we are not big risk takers. That is a very big problem in younger generation. Actually, எங்களோட caste பத்தி பாத்தீங்கன்னா they were really big risk takers. But the last two generations after the Burma hit story, right? We became very conservative and we didn't want to go to business. We were all into what to say
jobs.
So அந்த ரிஸ்க் டேக்கிங் கேப்பபிலிட்டி வரல. இல்லைன்னா நமக்கு இப்போ வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா 1 yearல பிளான் பண்ணி 2வது வருஷத்துல போய் 3rd yearல they are all expanding into 100 million, 200 million அந்த மாதிரி வருது. But we never had that risk taking capability. We didn't want debt. We wanted to be more on self sufficient on what we earn. So what profits we generated from the business is what we wanted to invest back. We didn't really take any big returns from the company. So that story was there for the first 5 years. But we were intrigued by big challenges. We always said that if there is a potential, we will go ahead and do some research into that. So adula and 2004 PTC gave us a potential and said that if you develop this, we will buy the IP. So adula வந்து exit எப்படி பண்ணணும், ஓரளவுக்கு ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் பேஸ்ட் எக்ஸிட் எப்படி பண்ணணும்னு அப்பவே கத்துக்கிட்டோம் 2003 and 4. Yeah, so ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் டெவலப் பண்ணி கொடுத்தோம். ரிவர்ஸ் இன்ஜினியரிங் ப்ராடக்ட், ஒரு 2D டிராயிங்ல இருந்து எப்படி 3D மாடல் ஜென்ரேட் பண்ண முடியும் அது டெவலப் பண்ணி ஐபி கம்ப்ளீட்டா நாங்களே ஓன் பண்ணி ஐபி டெவலப்மெண்ட் முடிஞ்சதுக்கு அப்புறம் ப்ராடக்டை வந்து பிடிசிக்கு சேல் பண்ணோம் 2003. சேலஞ்சஸ் எப்படி நீங்க பார்ட்டிசிபேட் பண்ணி ஃபேஸ் பண்ணணுங்கிறதுக்கு 2005 and 6 வந்து டொயோட்டா the parent company of the PLM PTC wanted to move them to the latest technologies, but Toyota was not willing to because it will affect their suppliers. So we stepped in, we provided a solution, and which Toyota said that if PTC will buy this solution, then we will implement it. So that was a second IP which we generated. And we also sold that back to PTC. So within 4 years, we sold 2 IPs back to PTC. And also tells you how you should manage big clients at that point, because PTC was about, I think, $800 million on revenue, and we were nowhere near that. But we signed a royalty agreement that we will do the upgrades and maintenance and enhancements for the software IP, what we sold. But due to some internal politics, PTC decided to drop this, and then they developed it internally. And then we actually competed with PTC for the next 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, wherever they were, it was a price war between both of us. And finally, at some point, we still had that R&D blood and said we have to do something again on R&D. And then in 2008 and 9, we figured out that we had the opportunity for a shape-based search research, which many of them have tried in the world, but it has not been commercialized. So we took some Aberdeen reports, and that was the first time we felt that for a product development, we need funding. Till then, we never thought that we should go out and look for funding. It was all self-funded. That gave us the learning of how to pitch to venture capitalists for a product development requirement. So we pitched to Axel Partners in the US through their Indian arm. They were happy with what we did, and then they came in, they supported a minority investment, which was followed by the Singapore government also investing in us. So they both came as partners, VC partners. That's the time when the company really moved into more of a proprietorship, into a corporate structure, because we have now a proper board, people to report to, and then in terms of how do we show our quarterly results, the quarterly pains, everything came into the picture. And so we developed the software for about 2 years, but then recession hit. What I would like to tell you at this point, at this stage, is that we didn't plan for a full-fledged product, and how do you bring it to the market? That was one of the drawbacks. We thought that, okay, first let us get funding for development, and then we'll go for a second round for some marketing and sales, which we really didn't plan well at that time. So 2009 and 10, the first customer was Ferrari for us, which was very interesting. We sold through web demos and follow-ups on the web. We have never visited Ferrari in Italy, but the product was interesting to them, so they signed up. And then we couldn't execute it from the alpha stage to the product stage, because now we were run out of funds, and then the recession hit, and so we had to look for internal funding. So that was a learning curve again, like how do you manage when there is a dip in business at some point of the time, right? It's always not promising all the time. So you have ups and downs, and you have cycles of recession. So that helped us to learn how to manage funds and then how to tighten your belts. But we did bootstrapping for the next 3 years for the software development. So that came up to 2013. Then what happened is, at that time, we felt that it's too much of a pain to keep 2 legs on 2 different directions. And so we had to design. So we thought that we cannot kill this product because there is a good potential. So we had looked for what is the other alternative. So that's where I am trying to bring the thought process that don't be emotionally connected with your business. It's your idea, it's your development, but you at some point of time, you should be ready for what is next. How do I change? What happens next, right? At that time, there was an angel investor who came and said, I can invest on your product, but I want holding on your services company, because I know that your services company is doing well. So he was smart enough to negotiate that with us. So we gave our shareholding on the services, but then we got funding for the product development. I actually wanted to leave the product development and move into that, but then he figured out and said that, no, you need to be on the services to run the services story, but you can find somebody who can be a CEO and run the software division. So then we did that. We spin off a company that helps us, like, how do you become spin-offs? How do you create multiple companies? How do you report to the multiple boards at different directions? And all the stories helped us over there. It's all gradual progression. And the next 2 years, the software did well, but we didn't get any major potential customers. And I started to concentrate on services side. So it was about 2014 when we had a discussion with our board. Right now, if you look at my journey, we have came through the initial stages. We have come to a growth stage right now. We have kind of stabilized on the services side. Then what is the exit? Because the board is always looking for, the investors are looking for what is the exit for them, right? They come in for investments, but they always have this end game that, am I going to be stuck here or what is the plan? So on 2014, we planned the exit strategy. So my suggestions, if somebody is listening to this, is like growth and initial and growth you can play around, but at least the exit strategies, you should be very clear on what to do. So at that time in 2014, we decided that I will move to US primarily because this is where the capital market has potential to extensively grow fast. Acquisitions were part of the story. We will just do next 2-3 years, we will look for acquisitions, inorganically grow, and then come to a stage whereby we will be able to exit the business and look for potentials and also give some returns to the investors. So that gave me an opportunity to move. Again, there is an interesting story there that why did I move? What did I do over there?
For a person who doesn't want to move out of India, now you were in Singapore, family being supporting there, and then you traveled a lot in Japan, and then you,
Japan,
I'm sure.
Asia Pac, yeah. I used to do at least 6 trips to US at that time from Singapore, and coming out for business every time.
In a year?
In a year, yeah. 2010
Awesome.
to 2013, every year. Come here for 2 weeks, get some potential customers, talk to them. And then because at that time, they were all saying that we want to see face-to-face because the story of virtual really didn't exist, right? So it was all like, how can I want to see you face-to-face. Let's discuss while you're here. And they always used to postpone things that let's do it during your next trip. So it forced me to make my next trip every 2 months so that we keep growing. And
see, one of the things that we always, when we come back to Singapore or moving to US, we all depend on somebody to, sponsor a visa. That's a big challenge. A lot of people think, these days when they finish their college, obviously you are getting that too. Many of us get a call saying, hey, is there any job in the US? And I always tell them, go get trained. It's better once you start working, earning knowledge, you have a few years in your resume, then, look for a job. How was your journey at that point in time as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, it was also an interesting story there because I used to come on a B1 and B2 visa. I had that multiple times renewed. I was never shy of having that Indian passport because Singapore was very convenient. Maybe that also didn't think that I should change the passport because all the embassies are within 15 miles inside Singapore.
Yes.
So anytime, even if you have an Indian passport, right, to get a visa, it was just like you can drop in there, you can get it in a couple of days. So I really didn't have that pain of getting visas to enter multiple countries because I had to travel to Europe for business, Japan continuously, and then Korea, and then back in Malaysia, and then in this side to US. So quite a bit of travel during those days. And then my attorneys in the US, because we established US in 2008, it was a 5 years operating entity. We had a local person who was a director with no ownership, and all the ownership was all held back in Singapore by us. So my attorneys here, there in Atlanta, and they were very good. They said that we can do an L1 for you because we keep coming here quite often. And then she did an L1, but I never came on my L1. I had my 3 years of L1 idling. I was not a taxpayer for US. And then when my L1 came for renewal, she said, my cost is the same for an L1 or a green card. I'll do your green card. I said, I really didn't have any thoughts. I said, okay, go ahead and do it. I thought it was just simply she's telling that, okay, she's going to try. But she was very good in preparing the paperwork. And what we had done is we had provided work for American citizens during these 5 years. And then we had a good track record of revenue generation in the US. And she put me on EB1, I think. She didn't even go for EB5, which is that investor visa. And then the best part was she got my family green card in 4 weeks. which was
4
which was
weeks.
4 weeks. Yeah, it was surprising. Yeah,
I know
it's
these days
completely.
people are waiting for 10 years.
Yeah,
Right? I mean, you know,
yeah. It was very. Then only she threw the bomb on me that May, if you get your green card, you need to be in US for at least 6 months every year to maintain that. Then I said, okay, then makes me shift. I had to plan within 6 weeks. We completely wounded up Singapore and we moved to the US. That's again a learning over here that be ready
right,
for
right.
changes at any time, right? Where it takes you. If there is
That's
a
true.
potential, you need to be ready to change. Don't get stuck with this is the place. Actually, I would say Singapore is very convenient for us because we can go back hometown, family life, fresh
Just in a
food,
few hours.
almost
Yeah.
yeah, in a few hours. Yeah, actually, we can go to Trichy in just 3 hours, and we had more flights to Chennai and Trichy more than anywhere else, right, at that time. So,
True.
so coming down to US was a change. My family, I have a son and a daughter. My daughter moved to Australia to do her medicine over there, and then my son came with me over here to the US. And but the plan was clear. In 5 years, we need to acquire and exit. So that is what I'm talking about, the exit strategy, that your exit strategy has to be clear. What you want to do. When you get to a stage where you feel that you're ready for that game. So 2015, I landed in US. We started to look for local companies. We evaluated about 60 companies in the US on mid-size because our line of business is a bit niche, product lifecycle management. It doesn't fall badly by recession or it doesn't ramp highly during an upside. It was a stable growth. So, and you don't find any major small companies playing in this game because you always talk about Tatas and Infosys and Accentures playing this PLM game because it's very limited growth potential, but highly paid in this particular domain. So out of the 60 companies, we shortlisted about 5. And then 3 of them were not interested, 2 were interested, and finally we acquired the first company. That helps us to understand how do you acquire a company, what do you go through that process, how do you conduct due diligence and all the stuff. And so after 2015, when we acquired, there came the struggle of integrating 2 companies because we acquired, everything looked fine on paper, but that was a fully run American company and we were fully run Asian company till now. They were about 7 years in existence and we are about 15 years in existence. And so we really didn't know what to do. And it really took a toll on us to merge these 2 companies. It took almost 2 years for us to integrate. It's primarily not the business, it's more of culture. So that's another thing. Yeah, that's what we should man. Like, how do they behave? What should you respect? How do you manage these situations? It was more of internal management rather than an external management during those 2 years.
True. One question.
Yeah, go ahead.
In your planning, why did you had the thought of I need to have acquisition?
Yes. So organic growth was a limited opportunity over here because we could grow with. We had to sell solutions at that time. We never sold boxes. We never sold CDs or software, right? So we always had to think like an inorganic acquisition is the way to ramp up our potential and also look for an exit. One of the main reasons is the size matters when you're looking for an exit. So if you're pretty small, right, they don't even think that a due diligence is worth your expense, and so they felt that we need to be of a size, right? So you need to be of a considerable size to sell yourself out in terms of a potential. And so we said that one way is organically grow, getting resources, growing organically is also, which happens parallelly, but inorganic growth, if there is a potential, why not we try that? So we tried the first company. It went through 2 years to understand the story. But then finally we were able to manage that in 2016, end of 2016, that entire integration went well. We had a new partner and we also had to talk about managing partners, managing friendship and partnership, right? That's a different story because both my friends and partners exited at that time because they felt that that's the end of the story with this company because they have started to acquire. And so there is no more growth in this company, which was kind of a misnomer. Persistence is another thing which I would also want you to understand here, that when we went through those 2 years of integration, it was a nightmare many a time. So you need to be persistent to figure out what to do. how do you cross the bridge with unknown people in the journey. So
Yeah.
that is one more story which we learned over there. And both my partners left, or friends left the business, and then I had to run it alone. And then with a new partner, with an American guy joining us. So it was a new partnership story in 2016. And then we again, that helped us, the 2 years helped us to learn how things are being done. And then in 2017, we went for a second acquisition. So right now we understood that this is how we need to do. So from
Wow.
2017 to 2019, we did 4 acquisitions, small and big, in
Wow.
2 years. Yeah, one acquisition took 2 years for us.
2 years to integrate.
Yeah, integrate. Now we took 4 companies in 3 years of time, from 2017 beginning to 2019 end. So now we were at a particular mass, and then we felt that okay, now we have reached a stage where we should start to market ourselves into the industry, and our brand name was pretty solid in terms of scones in the PLM world. Now that's when what we thought was is okay, what do I do about going into the market? And then COVID hit 2020. But COVID was a complete blessing in disguise for us, because I should tell that our revenues doubled between 2020 and 2021, because people started to get into that digital thread story, which was in talks all these 10 years, 2010 to 2020. Everybody said we wanted to become 3D, we wanted to become digital, but never they had the real push over that. So 2020 and 2021 has been a boom years for us in terms of how do you push, because now virtualization is the norm of the game. People began to work from home. Customers were willing to take Zoom calls and Teams meetings. And so a lot of work came across through us. And so we had a pretty solid year, 2020 and 2021. So I want to be patient, conscious about the timing to let me know.
Sure.
So,
yeah, we are almost at the point in time that I think, we are coming up to 2020 now. Yeah, let's keep continuing for another, few minutes. Let's keep going.
Yeah, sure.
I believe a lot of people are interested in listening as well.
Yes.
So, with as you said, with 2020, this pandemic situation, right?
Yeah.
Turned the world upside down. We talked about digitization as a word, 10, 15 years ago, visionaries spoke, and, it happened in, as you said, in 2 years across the world,
right?
everywhere.
Yeah, across the world. Yeah. It was very quick. And we being from the engineering and manufacturing, right? That was a big boom, and almost every company started to spend money on this now. So what I will say that is why this didn't happen is, for example, if we had 100 companies in the world on engineering, only about 10 companies used to spend on automation, digitization before 2020. Right now, at least 40 to 50 companies. So we had a big push in the potential in the market, but resources is a constraint now. So it's on the other side a problem. So getting qualified resources were a problem, but 2021 helped us to learn how to manage that. To the fact that 2021, we didn't go to the market, but we had at least 6 offers from the market to acquire us. So both from big and small, large Indian IT companies, European companies, and then we had to think on what do we do going forward, because this was a plan. Our investors were also very clear that by 3 to 5 years we should exit, and now we are in 2021, which is the 6th year, and there are potentials. But one thing which, as an entrepreneur, we always wanted to do is, even if we get acquired, our employee base should be protected for the next 2 years. That was the only first criteria which we told all the 5 or 6 matchmakers who came to us. We said that we are open. Yes, we are looking for, but the only first condition for us is our employees should be given a 2 years contract period to work in the acquired company before you guys decide whatever you want to do. And some of them said no. Some of them said, yes, we will consider. But then we started to look for what is the best potential for us. And then came PDS Vision from Sweden, which is invested by Capman, which is a $100 billion asset management company, a public limited company in Sweden. And so they said they gave us one of the best offers, which we would have not imagined at that time. So we just took that offer, ran through that with the due diligence for about 3 months. That is again putting us on the other side. Like, if you have to sell a business, what are the things which you should be aware of? How do you manage attorneys? Because we are operating around 6 countries in the world. All 6 were legal entities. And so we had to talk about mergers and all the different stuff. And that helped us to learn another side of the story. Then again, we are now a startup today. So we are looking for, we exited in April 1, 2022, but I'm still having a contract with them to support them for 2 years. And then they are looking for me to expand their go global footprint. But as an entrepreneur, right, once you are an entrepreneur, you're always an entrepreneur. So now it
True.
pushes me back to my year 2000, thinking that should I start something again? And I'm talking to a couple of young kids right now back in India from IIT and the other institutes to see how we can mentor as well as grow together, get back to that stages where how does the product development happen today, right? So that's where we are today.
Those kids, whoever is going to work with you, they are the luckiest in the world, I'm telling you, because of the different type of experiences you had, ranging from anywhere you started with just as an engineer, developer, and then going into R&D, learning more about, development, software development with having no background in software, and then becoming a marketing and salesperson, then, trying out your entrepreneur skills and pulling in people to work with you, and then people leaving you. And moving to different countries, talking to different customers, then sign up or sell your IP contract, and then failure of contracts. How do you legally fight that and either win or lose? Doesn't matter. You move your journey on. You keep on looking for other things to do, and then strategies on running the business, right? When you start expanding, that part I really liked a lot, because a lot of people miss on that with organic growth versus inorganic growth. Right? Your presence just like that expands when you go on the other side of it. So did you had any mentor for you all this time, or it is all about learning with experiences only?
I would say 80% is experiences. 20% is through some of my seniors who helped me. That is exactly what I want to change. It took, let me put it like this, it took 20 years for us to get to the stage because of our own experiences. But today the world is with cash, a lot of investors are there, a lot of mentors are ready to help today. So the current youngsters should not be having that 20-year journey. They should be able to do that in 5 years.
5 years.
So that is the critical point, right? So we had to go through experiences. Experiences are the key. But if you have a good mentors or supporting structure around who can guide you, because we had to fall and stand up. We had to fall and stand up. But whereas in current world, there are quite a lot of mentors who can help the young kids today, as well as whoever wants to go into that entrepreneurship. So definitely, I would say that you have mentors. Please try to utilize them. Take your first jump, and always be ready that the first 2 to 1 year. Today, it's not 20 years story anymore. You don't have anything for 20 years. It should be max 5 years planning to exit. So your first year should be initial planning, and then your second year should be a growth. Second and third year should be a growth, and fourth and fifth should be an exit plan. That's kind of thing. But always be ready on the first year to listen. Always listen from your end customers. Try to set the market, grow from there. Second and third year is you try to be your owner of what you do things in terms of growth. So normally we have that wordings which we say that the customer is always right. In my case, always I thought that my growth journey, my initial story is customer is always right. But in my growth journey, I said that no, customer is always not right. We need to educate them on some things, like you behave like a consultant rather than just doing what they told you to do, right? That helps us to also gain credibility with customers. So we are working with top companies like Pfizer today, where we kind of consult. We are no more a small company. You're no more a one
service provider, just not a service provider.
Not a service provider. Yeah, you're a consultant. So you get that respect from the customer too, if you really show your consulting skills. So I would appreciate that if you're going into that story, own what you're doing, and then that's the best part. And first few years, leave your ego aside. So that's one more key important point.
See, the one thing you touched about ego, which is good, and another thing that I wanted to touch upon is, a few things. One, with Annamalai University's alumni association across the world, there are several associations. One in great in Singapore. Here in the US, what we are trying to do is we are trying to come up with some of the mentorship programs. Where definitely there are so many entrepreneurs from our university who can help the youngsters who is coming up. But at the same time, from the perspective of the students, these days, everybody, I mean, the number of entrepreneurs back in those days, 20 years ago versus today is humongous, right? But
Absolutely. Yeah.
very big difference. But a lot of people only look at the fruitful side of it. Today, when people look at May, oh, yeah, great journey, a lot of money, good things. Oh, he made a lot of companies sold. But what you have gone through is something that they are not willing to go through. So as if they get the mentorships, then anybody can help them come up. I met few students also when I went to the university, spoke to them. Everybody want to be an entrepreneur. It's great, but they don't know what it takes. Some of them I even heard, some of your classmates are in today listening live. My classmates are listening, and some of them went to the university and gave a good opportunity during the campus interview programs. And
Mhm.
kids, the students doesn't want to come and join because they're saying, you're
Oh,
asking me to work more than 8 hours.
yeah.
Like, well, just tell me, when you went through your entrepreneurial journey, how many hours do you work? I heard the 2 o'clock call.
Not to exaggerate, it's 18 hours a day. That's what we did at the beginning, first 5 years, right? So most of my work, to give you a simple example, I said that we did work for Toyota in Japan. On a Friday night, I used to board a flight from Nagoya in Japan to Singapore, reach back Singapore on a Saturday morning, spend time with family Saturday, Sunday. And again, Sunday night, I had to take a flight to Nagoya. On Monday morning, 9 o'clock, I need to be in office. But on the night flight from Sunday night to Monday morning, I had to complete a couple of sessions ready for Monday for the customer. So that's the level of commitment. I would say that I had a different analogy on the stress too, because most young kids and even elders say that I get stressed in work. I get stressed in work. If you don't have a passion and if you don't love your job, you will always get stressed. That's the only thing, right? When you play a game, when you go to a movie, or when you're doing something you like, right? You never get stressed. Nobody said that I played a game which I liked and I was stressed. No, that's not that. The stress doesn't affect you at all if you love to do it or if you have a passion against it, right? So that's only one. You find the problem. Entrepreneurs, my only one small piece of advice is don't jump into it. Just try to find the problem in the market.
Correct.
It's a day-to-day problem. You might find a day-to-day problem. That's your opportunity. Don't go searching for new ideas and all these things. There are a few geniuses who will get those ideas, but most of them, I'm talking about 50-60% of the average regular people who want to move on to this journey sometime down the line, find the problem. That's all. Once you find the problem, the rest all falls in place for an entrepreneurship journey.
Excellent. I mean, I also talk about like that analogy that you had about stress, right? With the same example of movie, what if you don't like that actor and your family forced you to go and watch it? You get stressed
Yeah,
there. You just
just
don't
there.
want to watch it.
Exactly.
You want to get
Yeah,
out of it.
yeah,
So work is
yeah,
like that too, right? I mean,
yeah.
it's entrepreneurship. It's much more. You have to have the passion. You have to love it. You do it. So best advice for as you said, to the young entrepreneurs who are getting on the board or who want to be entrepreneurs, time. Never worry about yeah, it's only 8-hour job or 15-hour job. It's just
Yeah,
get in, do it, learn,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Excellent journey. So there are, now that you have, let's wind up like this before we jump into a few questions. And now that we have, become an entrepreneur, now sold the company, but you're still, helping the company grow, right? What are your other things that you're doing? I don't think now you're putting 20 hours or 16, 18 hours a day.
No, now
Right.
not 20 hours, definitely not 20 hours or 18 hours. But still, I looking at some social activities, which normally most of the entrepreneurs do at some point of time. I've been supporting Village, especially on the education side. So trying
Excellent.
to on the villages, trying to grow the education for the young kids and trying. There's an interesting organization in Chennai which does scientific experiments for government schools. They are a private company, but they go ahead and do scientific experiments, like to understand the concepts, right? How does the equipment work, or how does the chemical reaction happen? So they have a small scientific, real scientific play or a real life play, which they make that equipment work together and show them how does it work. For example, if it's robotics, I can build a small robot to see how does it work. So they're teaching the kids, young kids from the age of 8 to 10 up to 15 to 16. And the best part is they do it only for the government. And
Wow.
we are bringing them to our villages side and trying to help them on that. And then most other thing is like trying to help on the young entrepreneurs or young, the IIT students and the rest of them, like we're trying to do that. That helps us to keep our mind fresh too, because we need to understand like what the young kids think through, how do they operate today, the millennials and the Z gen, right? So that helps us to also keep our activity level at a higher pace. And we are working on a digital twin for an oil and gas with a startup company in Chennai over there. So that all helps us, and plus from an AI platform. So we are trying to learn. So again, going back to the same story of 2000, but no, I don't need to spend 20 hours because I have some very smart young kids than me who can do it in 15 hours, and I can just help them to support, to learn and grow them together.
Excellent.
So that's where I'm
Excellent.
spending time on now.
Excellent. One request on that is there are excellent few kids still in Annamalai University as well. If there are people willing to, hey, this is for the students specifically. If you are willing to work a lot, have a mentor, learn a lot at your younger age, yes, we are here to help, right?
Yes.
So definitely
yes,
we'll do that.
Yes.
Thank you.
And
It was
I'm
amazing.
willing to invest if there are interesting Annamalai University kids who want to do something. If the ideas are good, I'm even willing to invest on them.
There you go.
Yeah,
definitely. Thank you, May. That this is the feeling that we get whenever we talk to or go back to the university, right? We feel like, oh my God, the times we had was amazing. So let's make sure that the next generation that comes out of that as well, do well. Thank you. It was an excellent journey. So let us go through and ask, the questions that we got. Some of them were, let me start with, obviously people are saying the many takeaways for the entrepreneurs and future entrepreneurs. One question was, when your partners left, this is from Prabhakar, when your partners left you in 2015, what are the buyout options you or them offered?
Interesting question. One thing is the company is not, we didn't have, the valuation is completely private, right? Because we are not a public limited company. We had to go through, one thing which we at least agreed is we said that either you hold the shares if you really want. We don't want you to hold the shares, what you hold in the company. We would want you to sell them back to the company. But then what we did is we asked our auditors to go through the last 3 years of the books, which they already have, and then a projection for the next 3 years, and then come out with a valuation of the shares and told that this is your exit value as of today. And one partner agreed and took that money and left out. Whereas the other partner said, no, I think you guys should pay me extensively or 2-3 times of what you're talking about, because I have put 10 years of work into this. And we said that, no, that doesn't work. So you hold on to the shares if you really want. And then if you want to exit down the line, you go ahead and exit. And in 2019, he exited it. But what his decision was right at that time, because what we offered was, for example, X. And then on 2019, based on the company's valuation, and we went through the exercises of acquisitions and other things, he got 2X in 2019.
Oh.
So he didn't do any work, but in 4 years, he got 2X. So you'll have to take the risk. It's plus and minus. One partner didn't get enough. The other partner got whatever it is. But my point of that would be, you need to be persistent. So if the partner who left 2X, I would say we got about 10X today. So that's the journey, right? You need to be persistent, believe in yourself, and then definitely you are in for a much bigger game down the line.
Very true. Very true. I mean, it all depends on the needs, right? The first partner could have decided that I need now something, I want to move on. Maybe that, or the second partner said, man, I still believe in May. Let me wait for a year. If I were a partner, I would have waited. Oh, and I still believe in May a lot. So I would have got 10x, but that was a good one. So, a lot of appreciations. People have typed in the messages there that this journey really helped. Thank you so much, May. It was amazing journey. You, as I said, it's not an easy journey, but you sailed through a lot of challenges in the process. You learned a lot. You learned about acquisitions, and then now you learned about giving away and still helping them. While you can, it's a circle. While you can try to do the same thing over, but it's all about digitization now, right? It's much more easier than what you have done so far. People, if you have any other questions, please do let us know. Otherwise, in a minute or so, that we will try to conclude the session.
We've already crossed 20 minutes. Oh, sorry.
Excellent. Yeah, but the viewership is pretty good. A lot of people are still, watching and enjoying this. So, since this is a YouTube link, watchers, if somebody missed to see this, you can always go back and see it. I would encourage the professors who joined as well, and the director and others from Annamalai University as well, pass on these kind of, links to the students so they can learn a lot. And then one question now, we talked about several industry changes, because you worked closely with the manufacturing industries. There's industry 4.0 standards. Now they are planning for 5.0. You also mentioned back then Toyota had so much of, vision in terms of, how they wanted to do. Now, there are much more organizations which talk about 4.0 and then coming into future 5.0. But is there any good opportunity for youngsters to go learn about 4.0 and then come and do something?
Definitely. Industry 4.0 is actually getting aggressive after the pandemic changes the world, right? So most of the companies are digitizing, and the story called digital twin or digital thread or smart connected factories are coming into picture, which we never thought of in the past. So and more and more, if at least from, this is my personal opinion on this, that more than innovation today, it's more of automation, which is what's happening. So industry 4.0 on the automation side is a key opportunity, because I remember Andreessen from Netscape telling in 2011 that in 10 years from now, most of the companies would be software companies. Even if they are a product company, they will be a software company. So we see that change happening. Because we don't see any more new innovation on the mechanical side, or at least the engineering side, from companies on the automotive industry. For example, let's take automotive. Mercedes-Benz and BMW are not really automating or not really innovating anything, but more often into that automation side. So software will rule the world for at least the next 10 to 15 years. So industry 4.0 combined together with software is one key potential where most of the young kids can look for, and most of us are pretty good on math and English, so that's a good opportunity for our younger generation to step into that. So that's one of the key things. Like I even saw one quote which said that there will be no more product companies, there will be only software companies down the world, down the line. So industry 4.0 together combined with software on automation side is where I would at least recommend, because like we talk about data as the oil going forward. So we are collecting so much of data from all these manufacturing and industrial companies, which needs to be utilized on how do we effectively bring that digital thread into the market.
Excellent explanation. As you said, right? If today looking at the automotive industries, EV, everything is software controlled, right?
Yeah, software controlled. Yeah.
Interesting enough, my experience, was that we used to open the doors and somebody want to get in the car, just a click on the left, door panel. Now it is all in the central visual panel. It's a software that you need to, button that you need to click on. Very different changes. One of your classmates, who's also an entrepreneur, Anush, go 89ers.
Oh, Anush, yeah. Interesting.
Thank you so much, May. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It was an amazing. I really enjoyed, talking to you, and hopefully did everyone else. Thank you so
very
much.
much. Thanks for giving me an opportunity. I appreciate that.
All
Yeah.
right.
Good luck. Good luck
Bye-bye.
to all.
So,
Thank you. Take care.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Sure. Bye-bye. And as always, we end up with this same request: Annamalai University Alumni Association USA requesting everyone to, for you to become a member, a lifetime member, just $100. Just go to AUAA-USA.org. And then we are also working on, bringing local meeting events now that we are slightly out of a pandemic, and then we start engaging with people. So that's one reason we would like you to, become a member and then meet soon. We will see some messages coming out for the Bay Area meet. So stay tuned. Thank you. Nandri Vanakkam.